I
Okay.
have fixed my audio. Sorry everyone for the disturbance. Okay, so as I am stated before, we are going to talk about ESG. Um, to be exact, tracking sustainable business through ESG services. And today we are going to featuring Mathieu Gregori. He is here already. And if I might be mentioned, he is the founder of ECONOS ESG in Romania. So welcome, Matthew. Thank you for joining with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. And so if I can start, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Great. I think it works now.
Okay, okay. I think I have give you the access to share your screen, Matthew.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any trouble in sharing your screen?
Normally it's sharing right now, but I
Okay.
still see yours. Maybe if you stop sharing your screen.
Okay, I have stopped sharing my
Oh yeah, no,
screen.
it doesn't work. Wait, Is it working now?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah, amazing. Perfect. Great. So, hello everyone. Very happy to be here. Very happy to meet with everyone. So today we have an hour in which we're going to have to discuss a lot of topics, right? Today I'm going to talk about ESG. You will see ESG is a very broad word with a lot of different challenges and opportunities that we're going to discuss together. So first, I'm going to do you a quick introduction. So here, Mikai and Changqing, sorry, because you will see some repetitions about what I said in Nice, but I think it's really important to highlight them. Then we're going to talk about IFRS S1 and S2. So for those who know already about this, these are the becoming the standards, international standards around ESG across the world. And here, obviously, I'm going to talk more about how it's becoming very important in the Asia Pacific region. You will see that the carbon footprint assessment, especially when we're talking about IFRS S2, is a very crucial, essential element. And actually, it's great because ECONOS is a consulting firm specialized in carbon footprint assessment. And finally, we're going to discuss the ESG activators. So here, in line with TGS Global, okay? So here for TGS, it's very important to talk about ESG. Why? Because TGS, ESG sustainability is actually in the DNA of TGS, right? TGS, when we say TGS, we think global sustainability, right? So here for TGS Global, I think this is something which is shared by all the members here of TGS Asia Pacific. Sustainability is really a core element, a core value. And this is becoming more and more interesting because we can see that ESG is growing every year. I had a lot of questions recently about the recent political evolution. For example, when we're seeing Trump being elected in the US and Trump being known as a non advocate of everything related to sustainability, how is going to affect the ESG market? The answer is very clear. Business is not waiting for politics to grow the sustainability part. Sustainability part is becoming a competitive advantage. And here we see it very well in the evolution of the number of companies which are, for example, having science-based target initiatives. So these are some decarbonization targets which are scientifically verified, with this number more than doubling from one year to another. Here we have a 140% rise of number of companies which are publishing their reports on the CDP, which is an international platform about carbon disclosure related assessments. And what we see also is the Big Four investing a lot of budgets in this ESG. Okay, so here when we talk about Price, Deloitte, KPMG, they're investing billions of dollars into the development of their ESG practices. So here, it's also a question we can ask each other ourselves here in TGS. If we do not do this, if we do not invest, if we do not take care of the sustainability issues, others will do it, right? And we will lose some opportunities. We might lose some clients too. And especially for TGS with your specialization into normal, traditional financial accounting, let's say, it's actually very interesting and relevant to see how many similarities we have between carbon accounting, between ESG and your your traditional work, right? When we talk about carbon assessment, most of the time we talk about carbon accounting, right? Why? Because we're actually analyzing all the financial statements of a company and putting a carbon footprint related metric on it. Okay, but actually between the carbon footprint assessments and financial statement, we have very similar KPIs, very similar values, very similar ways of doing it. Okay, and here in order to have more discussion rather than me presenting the whole way, I would like to invite you, please, to join this Menti. So if you do not know what a Menti is, it's very simple. You just have either to scan this QR code. So I believe we all have a smartphone here. You can scan this QR code, or you can go directly on menti.com and put this 8 digits code. Okay, it's very simple. We all have a smartphone here. Here, Mikhail, I'm afraid that you're connecting with your smartphone directly, no? So I'm not sure you will be able to participate.
I did participate in this, so maybe another participant.
Great.
I
So
will become
here,
the observer.
yeah, perfect. Is it okay for everyone? Can everyone participate? It's very important, please, because once again, we want this to be a discussion, right? I want to also learn more about you, what you're doing, how advanced you are on these topics. Great. So I think that everyone is connecting. Check. So let me see. Actually, I don't have so many participants here. Two, six. Can someone confirm? Great, amazing. So actually, we do have some answers. Amazing. Check, present. Okay, so the first question: what does ESG mean to you? Okay, ESG stands for environment, social governance. ESG is the main topic of discussion today, and it's very important to see what comes to your mind when you hear ESG. And here I'm happy to see green future. Future is very important, right? Because we're talking about metric, which is becoming very important. Actually, when we talk about future, we can also say present. It's already the case in several places. We're going to see how environment, sustainability, yes, what's very important and what is not to be forgotten is that there's also a social aspect, which is very important. When we talk about ESG, of course, the E part represents the environmental part. And actually, the E part is going to be the most relevant, the most important. But it's very important to also talk about social, about governance. I saw governance, great. So governance and social related to community, amazing, responsible. I like this. Okay, great. Thank you so much for participating. Then we have the next question is on IFRS S1 and S2, right? So here, I know I'm talking to some people who have some background on financial accounting. I'm sure that most of you know what IFRS is, but maybe most of you do not know about IFRS S1 and S2. So if you've never heard of it, you can just let me know here. IFRS S1 and S2 are becoming these international standards for ESG, which are more and more important. So great. Actually, we see that some people are intermediate, know the basics, okay? maybe here can I ask the people who answered they know about IFRS to tell us a little bit more about what they heard about, how they heard about it. I'm very interested to see this.
Maybe I want to answer your question. So
Thank you,
recently
Ivana.
I have been kept updated with the recent news of sustainability, and
Great.
I have heard that IFRS S1 and S2 is really related to sustainability reporting. So it's basically contains of general requirements and
Uh-huh.
sustainability financial reporting.
Great. Bravo. Yes. Thank you so much, Ivana. So exactly what you said, and we're going to get into a little bit more details in a second. I'm going to show you a bit more about what it is, but basically you resume it very well. These are the international standards for sustainability reporting. Okay. And this is why they're so relevant and important. Okay. Now a quick question, a quick test. With which Asian country do you think is leading in ESG disclosure requirements? So here it's a map. You can just point where you think uh, either it's a city, either it's a country. Where do you think we're leading the ESG here? So I know that we have a few people from Indonesia here. And as much as we are patriotic, maybe Indonesia is not the right answer. I will tell you very soon. Is it working for everyone? Great. We see here, well, here it's China. Okay. Obviously here, it's I haven't presented yet, so it's normal not to know the answer. I'm just very curious to know, to see where do you think things are evolving quicker? Okay, so here we have
Australia.
Australia. Okay, Michael, Australia. Okay, so actually the good answer is Hong Kong. And it's not because I'm here in Hong Kong and I'm particularly proud of being in Hong Kong. It's because Hong Kong is actually the major financial marketplace also in Asia, right? And it's very important to see how ESG is actually a non-financial reporting, which is here to complement the financial reporting. So everywhere you're going to see some important financial market participants of some important stock exchange, you're going to see IFRS S1 and S2 intervening. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this in a minute. And then here, the question that you know also, Mikhail. So what are the main challenges in offering sustainability services to your clients? This is a question very important for me to understand better. How do you feel about sustainability? What are the main challenges that you feel before being capable of offering ESG services to your clients? So lack of human resources, lack of expertise, okay. It's very interesting to see that we have always the same elements which are coming back from one presentation to another. So this Mentimeter, I've used it already something similar in this with Mikhail, but I've used it also with other clients, and these are always the answers coming in the first place. Great. Okay, perfect. So yeah, lack of human resources and lack of expertise. Okay, very, very clear. Thank you so much for participating to this Mentimeter. I hope you liked it. We're going to have another one actually to finish this presentation to make sure that you understand well what's happening. But first, I'm going to give you a little bit more content. Okay, and by content, I mean first things first, IFRS S1 and S2 that already mentioned. So here, IFRS S1 and S2, what's very important is to see that this is a global phenomenon. Okay, it's happening already in several countries. So I told you about Hong Kong. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but here I know, obviously, we're going to talk more about what's happening in our region in Asia Pacific, but it's very important to know that this is not only in our region. Okay, when we're talking about Americas, we just had a meeting, for example, with our colleagues from TGS in Peru and Chile about the development of IFRS S1 and S2. Argentina, actually, which is not on this map, has published its first IFRS S1 and S2 based standards for their stock exchange in Buenos Aires. It was like 2 months ago. It's very recent. The US are also developing a lot. Right now with ECONOS, we're developing a subsidiary in the US to cover the US market because there it's really increasing this demand on ESG reports, once again related to IFRS S1 and S2. Nigeria is the first African country to have implemented IFRS S1 and S2. And in our region, I'm going to tell you a little bit more, but what's very important to see is that right now, I mean, in 2024, we have 29 countries and territories who develop their own ESG standards. And on these 29, most of them, if not 100%, are based on IFRS S1 and S2. Okay, so IFRS S1 and S2 is really important. Before telling you a little bit more about where this is implemented in our region, I'm going to tell you about these acronyms, which are very important to know because I'm going to make some references to them. Here, ESG is the first acronym, comes with a lot of acronyms, comes with a lot of specific vocabulary. Okay, it's normal. It's a whole new world, whole new topic that we're discussing today. The main standards that we're going to see on sustainability are, first of all, the TCFD, for Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. So TCFD is actually from the UN. Okay, it's from the United Nations. It's an initiative which brings on the table all the major organizations in the world, both public and private. Then we have the ISSB, which was actually founded by the IFRS Foundation back in 2021, and which is at the origin of the development of IFRS S1 and S2. GRI for Global Reporting Initiative. Okay, so this is still today the main standard when we talk about voluntary ESG reporting. Everyone has been using GRI since many years. Now, what's very interesting is to see the transition between GRI to IFRS S1 and S2 and actually their completion, because GRI does not mean you cannot do IFRS S1 and S2. GRI is mostly a standard to help you better organize your ESG report. Then we have the SASB, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. So this is very important when we're talking about ESG sector-specific standards, okay? Which means that when we're going to talk about GRI or TCFD, we're going to have mostly general disclosures, okay? When you want to have a more specific disclosure on your sector activity, you go to SASB, okay? These are very important because I'm going to make some references to them right now. First, to talk about Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong being at the forefront of sustainability. Once again, it's not because I'm here, it's really objectively here. Hong Kong has implemented already the IFRS S1 and S2, actually more the S2 than the S1. I'm going to explain to you what are the differences between S1 and S2 in a minute. But what's important to see is that this IFRS S1 and S2 have been developed and are actually implemented since January 2025. This is phase-in application, which means that not all companies are going to have to report under this ESG mandatory disclosure from day one, but we're going to see it's step by step. And what's very important is to see that it also comes with the very large development of this ESG reporting in the region. So here, talking about China, when we talk about 10 years ago, we had only 638 companies which were doing their ESG reports. 2021, we had 1,500. And here, actually, with this mandatory disclosure, we can see that all the listed companies will at a point have to disclose their ESG reports here in Hong Kong. First, large cap issuers, then the main board issuers and the GM. But basically what we see is that all the companies which are listed will have to take care of their ESG reporting. Okay, we see something similar in Taiwan. In Taiwan, we have it's always related, right, to this financial committees, to the stock exchange. So here, when we talk about the Taiwan, we're talking most of all about the GRI. The GRI was the one which was mandatory. So as you know, GRI stands for Global Reporting Initiative, which is this ESG voluntary standard. And what's interesting is to see that actually they're going from GRI to ISSB. And by ISSB, we mean IFRS S1 and S2. And here again, what we can see is that it's mostly large enterprises at the beginning, but this is a phase-in approach, which is going to affect most of the big companies of Taiwan. In Singapore, the Singapore Exchange has already implemented a mandatory reporting for listed companies on a comply or explain basis. And this is once again related to IFRS, okay? So until now, they were mostly using TCFD, but TCFD is being replaced by IFRS S1 and S2. So IFRS S1 and S2 are really the most important. When we talk about China, there is no mandatory national standard, nationally mandatory law requirements. Here, it's mostly at the stock exchange level. So when we're talking about the main stock exchanges in mainland China, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Beijing, we can see that in Shanghai, for example, it's the biggest 180 companies have to do their sustainability reports, the biggest 100 companies on the Shenzhen Stock Exchange. And in Beijing, we also have this reporting standards for SMEs. Also, a very important element here is that this also applies for dual listed companies, which means that if you are a company which is listed in Shanghai, but also on another market, you will still have to do your reporting in Shanghai, okay? Which means that also for these international companies having a large subsidiary which is listed in Shanghai and mainland China, this is also going to affect them, okay? And these guidelines were effective since May 2024, with disclosures coming for the financial year 2025 and 2026. Okay, so financial year 2025 is going to be very important. Now, when we talk about Indonesia, in Indonesia, we have actually a regulation which mandates publicly listed companies to submit annual sustainability reports. And as Taiwan was mostly specialized on everything related to the electronics sectors, here we have mostly industries such as palm oil, mining, and energy, which are very important for Indonesia's economy, which are being in the forefront of the sustainability standards. Here, for the moment, it's mostly GRI and SASB, which are not mandatory, but which are supported, highlighted by the authorities. But what we see is that Indonesia is also slowly transitioning into the IFRS S1 and S2 requirements. Okay. So is this clear for everyone? Do we have any questions until now? Great. So here, when we talk about IFRS, let's go a little bit deeper into what IFRS means. So IFRS S1 and S2 are to be seen as two standards which go together, okay? These standards were developed by the ISSB, which is the subsidiary, let's say, which is like it's a working group which was created by the IFRS Foundation to work on these sustainability requirements, sustainability mandatory reporting, okay? And here we can see that ISSB's role is actually to uniformize, to put together at a global level some sustainability standards. Okay, because you saw until now from one country to another, we had different standards being applied, we had different regulations. The idea here is to put everyone, and by everyone we mostly mean all the biggest companies in the world and all the main financial places. So this is why Hong Kong is very important, but actually all the countries which have a strong stock exchange, will have listed companies, will have to do this report under the IFRS S1 and S2. Okay, so here ISSB is actually replacing TCFD, SASB, the CBSD, which is not so relevant, GRI also that we talked about. Everything is going to be replaced by the ISSB, creating with the IFRS S1 and S2. Okay. Here we have IFRS S1. S1 is first and foremost a general framework. Okay, when we're talking about IFRS S1, it's actually replacing the TCFD in the sense that it takes into account the 4 reporting pillars, which are governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. But basically, IFRS S1 is going to be much more general, when IFRS S1, S2 is going to be more focused on the climate-related risk, and so more focused on the environmental parts, okay? On S1, you will have everything related to ESG in a broader way. You also have a general introduction to the company. You have very broad definitions of the company's mandatory reporting. When S2 is going to be much more focused on data which is scalable, which is measurable, and which is related to climate related risk and opportunities. And this is where greenhouse gas emissions appear as one of the main assessments to be disclosed under IFRS S2. You have some climate resilience assessments to be done and transition plans. Okay, so not only doing an assessment saying, okay, this is our carbon footprint, but also saying this will be our carbon footprint and this is how we're going to reduce it. Do we have any questions here, or is this clear for everyone here? I did a wrap up on what IFRS and S1 is and what S2 is. So here you can see that S1 is going from general to S2 more climate related, all ESG issues, and S1 where S2 is really related to climate related risk. S1 we have sustainability, but sustainability is as a whole, right? Sustainability not only means environment, sustainability means social, means governance, where IFRS S2 is really related to climate, okay? And here, to go back to IFRS S1 and S2, when we talk about Hong Kong, for example, Hong Kong has based their standards mostly on IFRS S2, okay? So here, from one country to another, we're going to see different applications of these IFRS S1 and S2 standards. And what we can see is that IFRS S2 is the most important, okay? So here, when we see investors, when we see stock exchanges, they're going to mostly highlight the S2 standards. Why? Because S2 comes with more measurable data, more quantitative data, when S1 is mostly qualitative data. Okay, great. And this makes the transition for the carbon footprint, okay? Because when we talk about an ESG report, we have actually a lot of different assessments which are included in this ESG recipe, in which you put, first of all, carbon footprint assessment, you put your climate resilience assessment, you put different metrics under social and governance, and you put them all together in an ESG report. So an ESG report can be divided into different assessments and policies, okay? The most important here on S2 is going to be the carbon footprint assessment. Carbon footprint assessment in theory is very simple. Okay, we're going to take an activity data. So for example, an electricity consumption in kilowatt hour that we're going to multiply by an emission factor. emission factor, also called conversion factor, because it converts kilowatt hour of electricity into kilograms CO2 equivalents. Okay, so this is basic math. It's a multiplication and a sum and an addition. Okay, and here, as you can see, all this data actually of activity data is going to be found in invoices. When we want to know the electricity consumption of our clients, we're going to ask them for their electricity invoices. And who are we going to work with? We're going to work with their accounting department, with their financial department. And this is where for TGS, this is a very big opportunity because this is actually very close to what you're currently doing already with your clients. Here, a carbon footprint, very important, is divided into 3 scopes. Here we have scope 1 and scope 2 on the one side, which is going to represent the emissions related to the energy consumption of your clients. Scope 1 is going to be direct emissions. Here we mostly have natural gas or diesel. When I'm consuming diesel with my car, I'm going to produce GHG emissions. When on scope 2, we mostly have electricity emissions. When I turn on the light, I'm not going to produce GHG emissions. However, the production of electricity required a production of greenhouse gases. Okay, so these are scope 1, scope 2. Once again, energy-related carbon footprints, so very straightforward energy invoices. Okay, then we have scope 3. And scope 3 is going to be the most important because in scope 3, we're talking about the whole value chain, from the upstream part to the downstream part. But basically here, this means that when you do your carbon footprints, you have to take into account both your own carbon footprint, let's say directly related to your energy consumption, but also the carbon footprint of your suppliers and of your clients. Okay, and this is why when we see that companies, listed companies, are going to have to do their reports in Indonesia or in Singapore and Hong Kong, okay, they're going to have to do this mandatory. But actually, in order to do this, they will require the information, the data from their suppliers and clients, which can be SMEs, right? And here I know that on TGS Global, we have a focus on SMEs more than carbon footprints of companies. Whether you're a big company, you're going to have to do this in a mandatory way. But if you're an SME, you're going to have to do this mandatorily, but from a business point of view, which means that if you're not doing it, you're going to lose your clients, okay, in a very short and simple way to understand. Because here, when we talk about a bank, for example, for a bank, scope 3, this category, so one category of scope 3 investments, is going to represent more than 99% of the carbon footprint. Okay, and all the biggest banks in the world have very strict targets to reduce their scope 3. How they're going to do this? By requiring this scope 3 information to their clients. Okay, which means that once again, if you're a company which is working with a bank, so basically all the companies in the world will have to think about their carbon footprint at a point. Okay, obviously here the biggest companies are going to be the most influenced by this ESG transition, but also the smaller ones. So here, if we don't have any questions, may I have some questions for you? And this is going to be in the second Mentimeter that I'm going to ask you to participate, please. Once again, the QR code, it's very easy to join. And here, it's to make sure that we understood everything and that we can see what are the next steps. So here, an important question is, what do you see is missing to start working on ESG, right? So today I gave you a very quick introduction to what IFRS S1 and S2 mean, how relevant they are in your region for your clients. Once again, not only for listed companies, but also for SMEs being in the value chain of these listed companies will have to take care about their ESG reporting. Okay, so here I hope you understood how important this is also for your clients. And now to go back to a question which we had, which was the last question actually of the first Mentimeter, in which we ask each other, we ask ourselves, okay, what is missing? What's the biggest lack I'm suffering in order to offer ESG services to my clients? We saw that most of it was lack of expertise. Okay, this is the most important one that appeared in the answers that you provided. So here, when we see this lack of information, what information would you need to start working concretely on ESG? So here, very interesting to see that this is actually changing. So case studies, yes, something concrete to have to work on. Carbon accounting tools, this I like. This is once again what we're specialized in. Webinars and expert talks. This is actually what we're doing today. Great. Okay, very well. Perfect. And here, related also to these skills that we saw just before, considering what we just talked about the importance of this IFRS S1 and 2, but also about the current requirements you already received from potential clients. So here, I know that Michael, we had talked about a potential client that you had that had contacted you to do their sustainability report. So here, considering all of this, so both your hands-on experience with your clients, but also the presentation of today, what do you see as the most important to develop first? Okay, so industry-specific ESG services. So here, maybe if you can tell me a little bit more about what industry you would like to cover first, especially here when we talk about Indonesia. So me in my presentation, I talk about mining, about palm oil. If you have other sectors in mind, please feel free to share them. IFRS S1 and S2. Okay, good. So may I ask the person who answered industry-specific ESG services what this person was referring to in terms of industry? Okay, great. So thank you so much for answering this Mentimeter. Can we have someone joining the discussion to also tell us a little bit more about what answer he or she put and why he or she put this answer? So here, for example, Ivana, if you want to participate, Ivana, what answer did you provide? And can you tell us a bit more about why you provided this answer?
Actually, I answer carbon footprint analysis because it's very new to me. So I guess I want to learn more about carbon footprint analysis as you have explained that the most industry that um, produce the most carbon footprint is in investment, right? Which is weird for me because how come? So I want to like learn more about it, I guess.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for this answer, Ivana. So here, just to come back to what you said on the investment part. So what I was saying is not that the investments represent 99% of the global emissions. It's from a bank's point of view, 99% of their emissions is related to the carbon footprint of their clients, okay? Which shows the importance for all their clients to take care about their carbon footprint, okay? And so here, I know that in TGS, the main type of client is not going to be the very large companies, the very large listed companies, But even like this, when we talk about carbon footprint, all companies will have to do their carbon footprint assessment at the point, okay? This, we see it very well in Europe. We see more and more SMEs coming to us requesting a carbon footprint because their main client is requesting it. And here, last question for today about the ESG activator. First of all, have you heard about the ESG activator with TGS Global? No, not yet. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it in a second. Actually, I should tell you more about the ESG activator first before answering the question. So let me go back to my presentation to show you a little bit more about what the ESG activator is. The ESG activator is actually a platform which was developed by TGS Global, which comes as answering all the requirements that you had here. Okay, so this is why I asked this question, is that all the elements that you have here, whether it is case studies and best practices, ESG regulatory updates, climate communication, all these elements, you can find them on the ESG activator, okay? And this ESG activator is actually going to also provide the maturity methodology, which is going to help you see what is material, which means what is important to report for your clients, depending on their sector of activity, depending on their size, depending on where they're located. And there's also a website that you can access on the TGS ESG activator, on which you're going to find some more information. So let's try to open it right now. So here you can see that there's actually also a free tool you can use to understand where you are in terms of ESG with your clients. And you can also have the good reasons to join, the approach, the methodology, and the latest news, okay? This is very important because ESG is a constantly evolving sector in which you have almost every day some new standards, some new developments. And this is where ECONOS is working with TGS Global to make this accessible to everyone. And we make sure to provide you with the latest updates on the sustainability world, okay? So here, for example, maybe you heard about the COP29, which happened 3 weeks ago, which is very, very important meeting with all the countries in the world related to the environment. We have also the EU, which approved, this was in December, so it was 9 days ago, actually. The EU adopted the first certification for carbon removals, carbon offsets. Okay, so on the ESG activator, you'll have all the most relevant and most up-to-date news. Okay, so here, when I ask, will you use the ESG activator? I hope that your answer will be yes, we'll use it soon. Why? Because this is something that we've developed with TGS Global to help all the TGS across the world to develop their ESG services to their clients. And we can, of course, help.
Ask one more question to Mr. Is he still here? Mr. Chang Ching Chu? I would like to ask you one more question because earlier Pak Mikael mentioned about you that you are really experienced in this sustainability and ESG reporting, which is you are way more better than us. You are few steps ahead us. Can you like share your experience regarding the one of your clients when you're handling them? It's a question that out of curiosity, actually.
Oh, okay. I can't say that I'm very experienced because I think similarly to, I guess, the rest of Asia, the adoption of sustainability reporting in Singapore is still quite limited. It's still restricted to, I think, the listed companies for now. So definitely in terms of I think my personal experience, I think I wouldn't say that we have a lot. So I think that the thing is that we have currently that our association like ISCA, they have been trying to launch a lot of like trainings and to get us ready for this. So I think that is what actually our firm has been doing for now. And I think of course, we're also trying to see how best we can use the ESG toolkit that TGS has, right, for our clients. Yeah. So in terms of I guess like specific experience or any particular, I guess like you know, really in that, I think yeah, I guess you guys are probably as experienced as I am. Yeah.
Actually, we have never handled a client with ESG needs, but it's okay. Okay, should we just wrap up the meeting now? Is there any question left from you guys? If there are none, I'm going to put our meeting to an end. Okay. Okay, on a count on three, everyone, if there is no other question till I'm done counting, I will be wrapping up this session. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's let's end this session. Okay. Thank you very much, Matthew, and everyone that already joined us in this discussion for discussion. And we are seeking any more future work together with ECONOS and with Mr. Chang Ching Chu. And we are very looking forward to work with you guys in addressing the opportunities providing ESG services in Asia Pacific. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And don't forget to register also for our next meeting. We'll be talking about merger and acquisition and the implementation of technology in amplifying our services in TGS Asia Pacific, and we'll be featuring Mr. Seong Yung from Valaris, and then Mr. Prakar from India as for the technology. Okay, I'm going to lead the photo session first before ending the meeting. So make sure to turn your camera on, everyone, please. I'm going to call them out your name one by one.
Okay.
Arina, maybe. Please turn your camera on. Arina, Mas Anggara, please turn your camera on. Oh, I see two people in one frame. Miss Eleonora Putri, hi. Miss Eleonora and her friends. Okay. On a count of 3, everyone. I'm going to take this screenshot of photo session. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. To the next slide. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
we have
Thank
done
you.
the
Thank
photo session.
you.
See
Thanks,
you.
Matthew. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Ching. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Morning.
you.